Hey guys, I'm Grace. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, just like the big book talks about. And that is only a direct result of working the 12 steps, having a sponsor, going to meetings, and through having a relationship with God. And that is only by the grace of God. You see, just over 9 years ago, I was absolutely at the worst place I've ever been in, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I had just overdosed a few days prior. I thought I was going to die an alcoholic death. I didn't think that there was any hope for me, and I had just kind of accepted where I was at. I accepted that this is where I'm at, and this is how it's always going to be. I had people who loved me in the program try to come get me, and I told them, I'm okay. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to keep doing this. And a few days later, it was as if the Lord spoke to me. I didn't have a relationship with God at the time, but I had this voice in my head that said, Grace, you don't have to do this anymore. You can call someone, you can ask for help. And only by the grace of God did I actually hear that message and take action. And I went outside from where I was and I called somebody and came back down to Florida, and I've been sober ever since. I got a sponsor, I got a home group, I started working the steps, I got honest with myself and another human being, and that's really what made all of the difference. I went through the steps, I had a spiritual awakening as the result of the steps, and then I continued to try to carry on the message that was so freely given to me, and from there, I really developed a deeper connection with God. I had started to go to church because one of the rehabs I was in took us to a church, and I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of synchronicities with AA, and I really liked that. I could really see God in the middle of all of that. I ended up getting engaged. I was pregnant. We had a son. My fiance's name was Sean, and he actually relapsed. Our son was about 9 months old, and he passed away 3 months later, just before our son turned 1. And at the time, I was super involved in AA. I had been going to church, like I mentioned, but I wasn't super involved in church. After he passed away, I can say that my whole world shattered. I was in emotional pain like I've never been in before. It was really hard for me to talk about things, even though I had close connections with people. I felt like nobody understood me. No one knew what I was going through. And I started to stuff my feelings. And after about a year and a half of really suffering, like I was continuously going through the motions. I was going to meetings, I was talking to people, I was sponsoring people, but I was in such a dark place, really such a dark place. And my church they offer small groups. So I joined a small group about a year and a half after he had passed away. And that's where I started to really get more freedom. I started to see a change because I could get honest with people who really had a greater solution, which was Jesus. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and he is the only one that can heal this brokenness inside of me, the pain that was inside of me. And from there, I wasn't healed instantly. Some days I still struggle. But I can say that through getting a connection with these women at church, it brought me into a deeper understanding of who God was, that these things didn't happen to me. It wasn't God punishing me for anything. And I got to know the character of God by reading the Bible, by being in the Word, and by asking questions and having these women really tell me who God was. And that's really where my sobriety started to change, because I knew who God was better. In the big book, it says, no human power could have relieved our alcoholism, but God could and would if he were sought. And I believe that applies for every area of my life. God could and would if he were sought, but I need to keep seeking him on deeper levels. And that's what I love so much about Recovery Church. It really bridges the gap between AA and the church. It's a place where us alcoholics and addicts can go to support one another and use the 12 steps, but also bring the Bible in where that truth comes in. And it's like the word tells us, know the truth and it will set them free. It's the truth that sets me free. So the truth of who God is, the truth of who Jesus is, the knowledge through the word that I get and just the power that the word holds has really changed everything for me. So I'm so grateful for AA. I'm so grateful for Recovery Church. I'm so grateful to just have another chance at life and to continue growing in my relationship with God and with the community of believers who are on the same page as I am and on the same journey that I am. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity, and I love you all.